10 minutes after 4 o'clock, it is Sport Talk, WGOW, the Talk Monster on a Friday. The doctor back in the house. And, of course, Fast Eddie sitting in for Cowboy Joe. Hope you're feeling better, Doc. You look good.
I look a little better, feel a little bit better, but I couldn't. I was thinking today, I said, I got to go in after watching Roethlisberger come off the bench, taped up. I got to thinking of Willis Reed.
That's tough.
Years and years ago.
That's
I
toughness.
said, you tell me I can't tough it out, a little virus?
That's right.
I was at devil's door, man. I tell you.
Well, it's good to have you back in here. And, of course, we want to get your take on the sports world has gone crazy in the last 48 to 72 hours. We'll talk about all that and more. Of course, we're continuing our Heisman straw poll, which looks like a total runaway with Trent Richardson, but that might just be our area of the country.
And I knew it was going to be that way. I listened in as much as I could, and you just had to feel – because isn't it going to come down to a block vote anyway? You would think Southwest gets RG3. You'd think the Southeast.
West Coast is luck.
And West Coast is luck, and so the Midwest and the East is going to determine. I think that's why luck will win it.
We'll see. And quarterback, of course, has an advantage there. But
this is the best year ever, though.
It's
the best players.
It's wide open
as a combo,
and they're all five of them. You could argue.
I looked at the past Heisman top fives.
Right.
We've got that book here somewhere. There's nothing like this. I mean, usually there's a couple.
Right. But not five.
Not
Definitely four.
just,
I think Monty Ball's probably the weak link. But
you know what?
He's still got great stats.
You could put Wilson in there, and I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, you're right.
Because that guy's
right.
good.
We have got Mike Cound on the line with us, and Mike has been gracious enough to give us a couple minutes here on Sport Talk. It's a busy day, Mike. Now, for you folks that don't, Mike has been a guest on our show a number of times, but for you folks that may not have heard him, he is a professional basketball agent for NBA players, WNBA players, some overseas players. And, Mike, we welcome you back to Sport Talk. How you doing?
Well, I'm great, guys. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic, man. You have been a busy man the last day and a half or so. Of course, you are the agent for Luis Scola. Is it Luis or Luis? Luis Scola. And, of course, he's from Argentina originally, but is a member of the Houston Rockets, and for a minute was going to New Orleans, I guess. And you're the agent for him. So kind of talk about just the chain of events from your perspective that's happened in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, I was buying a ticket for New Orleans last night. I'm here in Philadelphia because I have a Sixers player that we think they might use the amnesty clause on. So I'm looking out the window at the Philadelphia traffic as we speak, wishing I was in Chattanooga. But the Scola thing, you know, he didn't know anything. The GM, Kevin McHale, nobody called us. They don't tend to call the agents because they think the agents can mess up the deal, which could happen. You can imagine if an agent called New Orleans and said, "Hey, he don't want to be there."
Well, let's face it, they hate you guys anyway.
Yeah, they don't treat you great.
You're like a talk show.
Not me, Quake. Not me, but there's probably a few out there.
Yes, of course.
But no, he was. He's a guy that's a pro. He's ready for anything, but he's pretty much considered the number one guy in Houston right now, and of course it's a very Hispanic community there, and he's very popular. He's really their leader, and so it hits you. It hits you hard. You know, you've got a house, you got 4 kids, but nobody's crying for guys who are making millions of dollars. I get that, but you know, New Orleans is quite a culture shock from Houston, and when he's used to that, so it was hitting pretty hard.
So I would imagine and again, it's a professional sport. It's a business.
You have to be prepared for it, but you never are.
You got to know that, but you're exactly right, Doctor. When it actually comes down to it, was there any talks of him saying to you, "Man, I just don't want to go"?
Well, no, not him. Not him. You know, Gasol was saying that. We got reports of that, and
right.
About going to Houston, and no, he wasn't. He was like, I'm going to go make the best of it. But it literally. I mean, I was at dinner, and he was saying, "Mike, this is going down." And he would call me, and I would, "No, it's not. This didn't happen." And it didn't make any sense to me. It still doesn't make a lot of sense unless you look at it. And I'm talking about from Houston's perspective.
Right.
You certainly understand it from New Orleans' perspective and from LA's perspective by far. But from Houston, it's a salary cap thing. So, I just didn't believe it. And then, it was about to go down, and then when it didn't happen late at night, I don't know, it's 10 or 11 o'clock, and then they started calling him and saying, well, Luis, we never wanted to trade you. They started that.
Damage
and I
control.
don't think they did, but it sort of seems insincere after the fact.
Well, now, from the NBA standpoint, and I know you can't say a whole lot, because you got to do business with them, but it seems like because in Chris Paul, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So the New Orleans Hornets, if they just ride it out or whatever, they're going to get nothing in return. So when they get 3 players for one, it seems like it's a fair deal. I thought it was a fair deal. Not that I'm some great NBA trade analyst, but then all of a sudden it almost appeared, Doctor, as the owners kind of saying, hey, look, Stern, we're tired of the Lakers. They can't load up with these 3 guys, and obviously you assumed Dwight Howard, and yesterday we did. Now there's rumors that he's going to the Nets. But, all this madness kind of created a big storm of activity because of the lockout ending and everything. But, isn't that kind of the way it appears, that the owners kind of picked up the phone and said, man, we don't want this. This means the Lakers, again, will be too good.
Absolutely, Quake. It's one of the worst PR nightmares I've ever seen, if not the worst, just because of the timing of it. You shouldn't have let it get that far if this was going to be an issue, but I think it caught everybody by surprise. They're so busy getting the schedule and everything that I don't think they thought it would happen this quick. I can promise you that the New Orleans GM, who's Dale Demps, whose responsibility it is to try to win games, I can promise you he's destroyed, because you're picking up Lamar Odom, Kevin Martin, and my guy Scola, 3 bona fide starters, and then you've got Okafor inside. It's a big improvement on their team.
Yeah.
Now, they are picking up a lot of salary cap, but it is the strangest thing when owners like Dan Gilbert in Cleveland and others, just went a little bit crazy last night, and they definitely shut it down. The only thing about New Orleans, and this is speculation on my part, but if you guys think about it, these guys that own teams are billionaires who are used to winning, and it's possible that an owner is in the mix with New Orleans. It's possible that somebody says, "Hey, I'm not going to pay the amount I told you I was going to pay for that franchise if Chris Paul's not there," because even though Chris Paul is saying he doesn't want to be in New Orleans, it's possible that this owner, who is a billionaire who always wins,
he's not thinking, is
saying, I can get him to stay.
He doesn't know the NBA.
So that could be part of it too, but that's just outside speculation.
And for you folks that may not follow the NBA closely, essentially, much like the Dodgers in baseball, the Hornets have been taken over by the league and are trying to find an owner or a buyer at this point in time, and that's why all this looks like some sort of conspiracy, grassy knoll type thing.
It sure does.
Not only looks like it, it probably is.
It probably is. And, does it all go back to Gilbert, who you pointed out is the Cleveland Cavaliers owner, who is the owner scorned and all the LeBron James leaving Cleveland type stuff, and he's just trying to, throw around his weight a little bit and saying, we got it last year. Now, somebody else is going to get it. Nobody can compete with the Heat or the Lakers. I don't know. It's just bad because they just came to an agreement on how this all stuff was going to work, and now the ink's dry on the contract with a collective bargaining agreement, and now you see them saying, well, those rules don't necessarily apply if we don't think.
It's Quake. That's the point. You just agreed to something. You fought. You lost all this money. You agreed to it. Those are the rules. 3 parties agreed to it. I'm against my guy going to New Orleans, I'll be honest. But still, 3 parties agreed to it. And for people to complain, and Gilbert seems a little whiny to me. I was with him on the LeBron stuff. But LA won that. Now they were getting rid of 2 great players, but they were also dumping a lot of cap. And you guys know that it's sort of like to put it in a way to understand it. If you're above $20 million on the cap, it's like you go in and pay $10 for a hamburger, and for a $10 hamburger, you're going to pay $42.50. that's what the luxury tax is when you're above $20 million. That's severe. So Jerry Buss they're getting that off their cap, and obviously Chris Paul wanted to go there, but I think that it's sour milk, and it's too bad. It's too bad that the league's going to look bad here.
What legal? What do they have to stand on, the owners that are? I don't see how they can stop it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Dr. B. I think that
it's a trade.
There's a real case here.
I mean, it doesn't look good to some people, looks good to others.
Well, I mean, I guess the owners couldn't stop it if it weren't for David Stern, league commissioner, stepping in. You know,
but that's that's where you got to have that strong. That's what's happened to baseball. Everybody knows that. Selig's a mouse.
But Stern has always been, I thought, one of the forefront commissioners in professional sports.
Always.
And this is just five steps backwards, in my opinion.
Check what I said, Doctor. The reason that they can do this, because they're not, when Howard wants to go somewhere, they're not going to be able to do it because they don't own the team. They can always fall back here on, we own the team, and that's their excuse. But legally they do. So legally they can, I don't really think Chris Paul can do anything here. They're not going to be able to stop other trades, but think about it. At this point, you can't say he can't go to L.A. and now say he can go to Milwaukee or Sacramento. So the guy's stuck there this year. And excuse me for putting it that way for any New Orleans fans, but I don't think he's going anywhere.
Don't worry about too many New Orleans Hornets fans in Chattanooga, I don't think. I
think you're right.
But the team actually they're trying to sell would be better in the long run, wouldn't it?
The team,
as far as
the
New
team
Orleans,
would be a lot better on the court. There's no doubt about that. That's a pretty nice team they would have put together last night.
Right.
But their salary cap would prohibit them from making big star moves.
Right.
Yeah,
in the future.
And
that's because you got with Luis and the other two, you've got about close to $40 million a year, and that's 4/5 of the cap, or 2/3 of the cap anyway, and that's too much for three players.
And the fact that I think they have a record-setting season ticket purchase for the Hornets, and the detractors are saying, well, most of them want to see Chris Paul. Now Paul's gone, so it's not as good a product, regardless of how many games they win, because it doesn't have that star power or whatever.
Now,
Luis Scola, your man, averages 18.5 points per game and 8 rebounds. I mean,
good.
And that's what's got me about, and it's not just NBA, but it seems to be stronger in the NBA. There's like a dozen names, and then there's a bunch of really good players, but for whatever reason, they're not a name guy. Maybe they don't have a video game endorsement or whatever, and they're just kind of like, oh, well, that's just him. But he's averaging almost 20 points a game. I mean, give him some credit.
And look at the one of the star teams in your league, the Lakers. You can't tell me they're not done. I know they're pretty good, but what kind of team chemistry are you going to have now if they block it?
That's right.
These guys go back. Yeah. They didn't want me.
Well, Odom didn't show up for the training camp today.
No.
So.
Yeah, you bring up Luis. The only thing exciting about Luis, Quake, is his hair.
He's got some great hair.
He's a workhorse. He there's nothing exciting about his game. He just gets it done. And now the other thing is all three teams are appealing this deal. So imagine how he feels. And Kevin Martin's a pretty big name too.
Yep.
Those guys are sitting there. Now you didn't get the trade done, but you're still appealing, and you're still badly trying to get me out of here. So there's lots of things that could still happen on this.
And for folks that may not know, Kevin Martin was a Southern Conference player at Western Carolina and has turned it into a nice little NBA career. Well, I'll tell you what, Mike Cound, our special guest here, he is the agent for Luis Scola, and we wish you luck, my man. Your phone will be burning up here in the next day or two, I guess, and we'll see how it all works out. But I know you want to get back to Chattanooga at some point, and that just may not happen this weekend, right?
I'm there tomorrow, and
okay.
Look forward to it. I'd prefer to be on the Tennessee River than here in Philly, I'll tell you that.
We got a pretty day here today, actually.
It's not too bad. Mike, take care in your travels, my man. We appreciate your time this afternoon.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Got it. And we'll talk with you soon. Mike Cound.
NBA in turmoil.
Yeah.
See that.
How about that, though? But often Chattanooga doesn't often have, an agent that is dealing right in the middle of one of the professional sports biggest stories of the day.
And he started with nothing.
Yeah.
One female.
That's right, in the WNBA. Yeah. And he's turned it into
pretty good.
He's got, I think, 4 or 5 in the NBA now.
Showing proof once again there's plenty to go around.
That's right. Started off as a Spanish teacher at UTC.
Yeah.
And is fluent in Spanish, obviously, so he could Argentina is Luis Scola. He had the other guy that was from Spain. He's had a couple, most of the foreign players, because he could be the interpreter with them, and that's important.
And he got with a lot of the ladies because they were going to Europe to play.
That's right. And he could sell them in Spain, and he knows about 2 or 3 languages, so he's a pretty good dude. Mike Cound, great guy, and fellow Chattanoogan, so there you go. That's the story as we know it. When we come back, we'll get Doc's take on pool holes, SEC, college football awards, all kinds of stuff to hit this afternoon, and we want your participation. Wide open for you, 267-1023.
Let's do the straw poll. But please.
Heisman straw poll. Who's going to win?
Leave the bias out of it.
I don't think they can.
I know it's
hard. They can't. It's hard for you sometimes, too.
Oh, I'm biased as you can be. I'm not Wally Wachowski biased, but I'm biased.
Sport Talk rolling on a Friday. Doc Quake and Fast Eddie sitting in for Cowboy Joe. Oh, he's furious, by the way. Has just a flurry of text. Oh, yeah, the text messages. They're trying to screw the Lakers. It's a big conspiracy theory, you know.
Oh,
so we'll probably hear from him at some point.
He was ready to dominate, you know that.
Oh, yeah. He was loving Paul and Dwight Howard coming.
Good for us? I don't know. We'd had to put up with it.
Yeah, but can you imagine the Heat and Lakers with that crowd for the Lakers and the Heat's crowd? That would have been a heck of a final.
I would like to see it.
Might even be better to see Dallas and the Lakers in the Western Conference final. But may never know. Sport Talk rolling on 427 WGOW, and a look at your tri-state traffic from Bill Lockhart. That's coming up on the Talk Monster 102.3.
When it matters.